Hey everyone, thanks for joining us. The next episode of Red Valkyrie is about to start. Hey, welcome everyone to another episode of Red Valkyrie. I am your host Shae Zombie, and off to this side we've got the super awesome and amazing co-host Cyborg Valkyrie. Say hello.
Hello, audience. Hello, Shae. Another exciting episode.
Yay! That's all we got is excitement, right? And we are here with super awesome SK, aka Steven, for Wordsmith. Say hey.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Now, this was a really difficult one to try and get, simply because Steve is in Australia, and so right now it's what time for you?
It's just past 9 a.m.
Just past 9 a.m. Saturday morning. So it's 5 for us and 9 for you. But hey, you know what? We make it work, and I'm so happy that we get to have you on to talk about Wordsmith. So why don't you go ahead and give us your elevator pitch?
Okay, thanks, guys. Oh, look, Wordsmith is a steampunk fantasy adventure. So one of the things I really liked about putting this together was I like the concept of words, like how words can have different meanings for different people. So I'll use one of the examples that came in from the first volume. So the word home, when they open up the word home, it just has so many different implications to different people. Is home the people you hang out with? Is home family? Is home a physical place? So when you see the word home, it just means so many different things to different people. And I love the concept with it. So one of the things that Wordsmith I'm really trying to pitch, and it's at the first volume of Wordsmith actually is currently in about 500 different libraries across the world, and probably in about 200 schools in Australia. And it's one of the things that the feedback I'm getting from a lot of the teachers and the librarians who actually have put it in their collection, it's really that it helps kids express different words, and also knowing that what a word means to somebody could be totally different to what the word means to somebody else. And yeah, and I suppose in this day and age as well, like there's, and I'm just using, I'm trying to say the right words as well, because a lot of people nowadays get, and I know this is probably not the best term to use, but a lot of people get triggered by certain words. And I think for me, I think that's a little bit ridiculous, because it's just words. And although words can have implications, words can be hurtful, words can be everything. It's what you take the meaning out of those words that's important. And so when I do different library workshops and things like that, I always say, what you interpret from those words, that's what you take out of it. And so that's why I think, and so but in the story, basically, this artisan, her name is Victoria, she crafts different words. And so, and she uses these words mainly as gifts. So when you give somebody a gift, if you open up the word hope, it makes someone feel really hopeful. And it evokes a sense of emotions to different people. So that's why I think it's important though. It's a whole concept of words. And unfortunately, I think in this day and age, words have been hijacked a lot. And I think that's a real shame when words can be, it's so powerful. And I think it's been taken a lot of words, as you probably can hear, are taken out of context.
Oh yeah.
And I think I'm just trying to show it again that, I'm just trying to tell the story. And in this setting where words can be taken out of context and all the rest of it, but it also plays in terms of, if you get down to the real meaning of what the word means and what it means to you, you get some, the real message that's conveyed. So, like I said, in volume 1, a word that she gives to somebody gets misinterpreted, and so Victoria spends the whole of volume 1 basically trying to rectify, fix up the mistake that she made. So, yeah, so
it's actually an insanely interesting concept. So the big reason that I really wanted to try and have you on the show is because the art and the way that this book looks like it's put together from what you have on your campaign it just looks super polished and it looks really, really interesting. Like I love the steampunk aspect of everything. I love um, kind of like the way that you've drawn the world and the characters. They all seem super interesting. And I had no idea that this was actually a book that you have already libraries and that you've gotten to, children like start that kind of conversation, which is it's a really interesting thing. And it's I guess one of the things that I find probably the most interesting about it is the fact that when I was growing up, I had my mother's a lot older than a lot of the parents of friends that I had. Like a lot of my friends are the same. My friends' parents are the same age as my sister, and as a result, my mom's got old school mentality for a lot of stuff. And so one of her big things were words can't hurt you unless you give them power. And this is almost like a literal, like she crafts words and gives them power and then gives them to people. that's kind of a really interesting concept that you have.
Yeah. Oh, look, I in terms, just back to your first point, I really do like the genre of steampunk. It's the whole, it's very Victorian, if you will. That's actually that's where the character's first name is, and I really like that. The whole Sherlock Holmes type feel, the whole the Jack the Ripper, that era. I think it's absolutely fantastic. I'm also a big fantasy buff as well, so have to throw in a dragon every once in a while.
Right.
So that was a bit of fun, but I like the concept that that aesthetic is really important to me, and I think it was a lot of fun to actually build that aesthetic. But in terms of your other comment, words only have power if you give them power, and it was a really fun play to be able to have the lead character actually being able to give words the power, the power it seems.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's just, I don't know. It's weird because I'm going to be honest. I had no idea what your book was going to be about. I just went, this art is beautiful. And there's pretty much down instantly. But then, obviously that's sometimes I like to not know everything. And so when I get somebody on, I get that same kind of shock and surprise that your audience is going to get when they first discover you. But this is a very different concept than what I thought, and I actually am really excited about it. So you said that you've already gotten some feedback from kids and stuff. So what exactly has that kind of been like to have almost an instant like feedback from your target audience? Because most people who launch an Indiegogo don't have that.
Yeah, also I've been lucky. So the Indiegogo is really much for volume 2. But because this is the second time I've used Indiegogo, I thought, I can't just launch volume 2. I included volume 1 into it as well.
Right.
Look, I'll be honest with you. The kids absolutely love it. And it's mainly because it opens up a dialogue. So when I ask kids, what I usually do in most of the workshop, I ask them to throw words at me. And of course, you get the usual fun words, like, especially with teachers there. The first thing they say is smelly, or, that's
poopy.
Potato seems to be very popular for some reason.
Potato.
Don't ask why. It's like, give me some words. Potato. It's like,
I can tell you why, because at the end of all of those really long posts, it's here's a potato. I bet you anything, this internet world.
Oh man. But when you start digging, like when you start asking what's smelly, and then when you start digging into it, they actually have a lot of fun with it. And then when you start to illustrate some of the words, and what I always usually do is I ask them to give me an adjective and then a noun. So, and I'll say, like, if you can't think of an adjective, so it's where then it usually ends up being a smelly potato. Seems to be the most popular for some. Again, kids, I can't fathom why, but a lot of it is it's really good fun for them. And the teachers sometimes I get weird stares because we go down in some weird directions. But for the kids, they just love the idea that there's no restriction on certain words, and they have a lot of fun with it. So, and I think so. If you can scroll back up, I just want to show you just back on one of the concepts. So, and it doesn't spoil the story too much. Just back up a little bit higher. So in this particular competition, you can stop there. And again, this doesn't spoil the story because this actually happens right in the beginning. So the word challenge is basically brave. So in this case, the challenger, her name is Mei Li. She imbues the word brave. It makes you feel strong, makes you feel powerful, and all the rest of it. But Victoria, when she gets asked to make the word brave, she makes the word, if you scroll down a little bit lower, she makes, instead of using the word brave, she creates the word fear. And so the concept behind it is nobody's actually really brave. There's no such thing as bravery. You're only brave because you act in spite of fear. If you're not afraid, you can't be brave.
Right.
And it's those concepts which I really love to play with, because bravery being such an abstract concept, nobody's brave, because if you're brave, you're not afraid. And if you're not afraid, you can't be brave. So that's why Victoria crafts the word fear, because fear, being afraid and being able to move past your fear, that's what makes you brave. So that's just on that point. That's what I love about writing stories like this, that you get to have that play of, you know what, some words don't really make sense without the context behind it. Nobody's brave. Again, you're only brave because
you're not brave in a vacuum, I think is what you're saying.
Yeah, I think that's probably better. That's so great. Okay, so did you set out for this to be a kid's book?
Yes, I did. Because look, there is some violence, of course. There's punching or whatever, but it can be read by. I try to do the whole Pixar approach that if you're an adult and you read it, you're still gonna love it. But I remove there's no blood, there's no gore. The worst thing that happens is somebody gets punched and that type of thing. The one death that happens is the Disney death where the guy falls off a cliff. So,
I gotcha.
So a lot, and there's no swearing, there's no nudity and things like that. So if you remove those core elements, that brings it up. The themes, I think, are pretty universal. So that's why I think, especially with the librarians, actually come back to me a lot, because the themes that resonate with them is, hey, you're using different contexts of different words, and the kids love it. So that's where I'm really lucky that it actually has been picked up quite a bit.
This is so interesting. So, on top of all of that, I think that you're at least as far as the artwork is concerned, because like I said, obviously I haven't read this, so I haven't sat down, opened it up, and seen if the story would necessarily appeal to me. What you're saying about the story sounds very interesting, but the artwork alone, I think, is a pretty universal kind of look, because seeing the way that these pages are laid out and crafted, and the way that characters, their design, their costumes, the girl for the competition has probably the coolest steampunk costume I think I've ever seen. I absolutely love this look where she's got the top hat and just the ruffles, the kind of corset, all of it. It looks so perfect, and it's what drew me. As a 30-something-year-old, that was very interesting to me. And so I think that you're at least hitting the mark as far as making it more appealing for not just for children, but the fact that you're talking about some pretty upper level concepts for kids when it comes to, fear, bravery is acting in spite of fear and all that. Those are very abstract concepts for kids. And it's actually, I think, one of the reasons that I kind of love this book even more now is simply because I've always been of the impression when it comes to children that a lot of the times we stunt how much our kids can learn, because you have a preconceived notion about what a kid can handle.
Right.
And
not only the fear thing, if I can jump in for a second,
yes,
Shae, but also the fact that the words are open to interpretation because everyone else brings a different kind of emotion to the fold when they're talking about their interpretation of what you're saying, the whole triggering thing and all that kind of stuff. Not only that, but the proclivity of some people these days to actually wholesale change the meaning of words. And I think that that's something that it's not only going to help kids to understand that kind of thing happens, But for adults to understand that that kind of thing is going on, just wanting to literally change the meaning of words to where, a few years ago, if you looked in the dictionary, a word meant one thing in a historical context, and now that's completely missing. So I think that's really awesome that you're at least laying the groundwork, if not the specifics for those concepts, right here in it, because that is the world we're in.
It is. This is. I don't know. I'm just like, honestly, I think it's the first time that we've had a campaign. And I've just been kind of blown away by the goal of it. Like, working story aside, like the fact that you're able to put this into libraries and actually address these kinds of things with children. What's your average age in these kids that are reading this?
About 10 to 12. So
10 to 12. That would be like the perfect age to start gaming concepts. Sorry, go ahead.
Can you scroll up just a little bit more? I'll do a little bit of a thing, which, again, I'm happy if we can talk offline a little bit afterwards about this, but I think you will enjoy. One of the things which I also really like to do in terms of the background characters. So again, I'm not going to name them because some of them want to keep private. But what I always do is I usually invite like friends and family and stuff like that for the background characters. They are 9 times out of 10, they're all real people. So in that background scene alone, there's 5 people there, which are people who I know. So I've actually had it once where somebody actually read the book, like one of my friends, and he went, "Oh my God, he's really, really cute." Sorry, the other way around. It was a she who read the book, and he's really, really cute, and I actually had the chance to say, "You know what? You want to meet him in real life?" So
that's funny.
It's where I have a lot of fun with it. Yeah, and
that's awesome.
So I'll extend it to you guys afterwards. If you really want to be a background character, there's some pages which I haven't finished yet in terms of volume 2. So we'll take it offline, but if you ever want to sneak in to be a background character, just let me know.
Absolutely, in a heartbeat. Oh my goodness, that is super cool. Okay, so I think before we get too much more into my like 5,000 questions, because this is just super interesting, let's go over your tiers real quick, and so people can kind of understand what they can do to help back. And just like I just posted in the channel, start thinking about your questions, start thinking about what you may have for Steven, so we can, really kind of get more into this. But
right, the other thing I was going to say is, unfortunately for this show, for this particular stream, we are under a time constraint just because of people's schedules. So get your questions in, get them in early so that we can get to them, please.
Yes, please. Okay, all you, Steven. Let's go over your tiers.
Okay. Oh, tiers. So the first one is PDF. So one thing I have to mention is Volume 2 isn't ready yet. So we're looking to finish Volume 2 by towards the end of the year. But the first tier is basically PDFs of both volumes. So you're looking at close to just over 120 pages of artwork and everything, front covers. What I also do in the back of every book is I include a lot of sketches, character designs, and when I have time, actually, I do write better than I talk. I have to really admit. So, like
as a writer myself, I can agree that we can craft some words much better when we have time to look over.
So a lot of the stuff which it's easier for me to talk through, like explain different concepts of words, and I include all of that. So the first one basically is the PDF tier. If we scroll down a little bit more. We then have a copy of Volume 2, if that's what you want. Volume 2 can be read independently of Volume 1, so the stories are a little bit self-contained. There is a little bit of an underlying story that pulls from Volume 1 to 2, but you really don't need it. If you haven't read Volume 1, Volume 2 is still absolutely fine.
So it's still accessible, but you'll get more out of 2?
Of course.
Okay.
So if we scroll down, then we have the print copy of Volume 2, the variant. There's a Malaysian artist, actually. His name is Wallace. And look, I love his artwork. What he does is he does a lot of pencil sketching in terms of uh, famous people. So he'll draw Marilyn Monroe and all the rest of it. But so I got him to do one of the characters here, and I think it came out really, really well. So it's a variant cover for it.
So is it staying the pencils, or is it gonna get inked or colored, or?
Oh, I love the pencils, so I'm keeping the pencils as is. So the cover, I did it
Very cool.
once for Terra Olympus, I think the first campaign I did. So, but I love pencils. If you can do really good pencils, I'm really, really happy.
Oh, we need to introduce you to skits, but yes, I agree.
Okay, we scroll down a bit more. Every tier has the PDFs as well, so I include the PDF in every tier.
Oh,
Then
that's
you
awesome.
have the print copy of volume 1 and 2. That also includes the PDF as well. Then we scroll down, the print copy of volume 1 and 2, but with the variant.
So that's the standard front for one, and then the variant cover for two.
That's correct. So with
Okay.
volume 1, I didn't do any variants.
Okay.
It was just we just got the one cover for volume 1. So we scroll down. There's some limited edition A5 prints. I'll get you the dimensions. Let me just remember what the dimensions are for A5, because I don't think you have A5 in the US, do you?
We don't know. It's more Britain and Australia, but A5, if I remember, is
Let me
kind of like a
just-
legal pad, maybe a
eight-
little smaller.
8 inches by 6 inches approximately.
Oh no, it's way smaller. Never mind.
Think of it like a postcard size. So you can see my hand holding it up there. So it gives you, it gives you some sort of perspective of size. So yeah, you get some of the edition prints. The left one I had a bit of fun with, so I got another artist to help out with that. I model it after those boxing posters, the ones which have fight night and all the rest of it. And then the other one is just some of the back banner artwork as well. So
Very cool.
we scroll down.
Sorry, I was looking up A5.
It's very much I think probably a Commonwealth Bank, not Commonwealth Bank, sorry, Commonwealth country size charts. Then there's another print which is just really much only for this Indiegogo campaign. So that's the A5 print for that one. And then the last 3 tiers, actually, I have to admit, they're a little bit more pricey, but I think a lot of people will actually enjoy it. This is the original artwork. So the first one is of Autumn. So it's just basically a girl in autumn. So, and if you scroll down, then you have one of Scarlet Witch. And then if you and the last one is basically the original pencils for the variant cover.
Wow. So you're actually selling a cover, and it's only the original cover, and it's only $184.
Correct. So that's the original artwork.
That's a really good deal, especially because normally when we're talking original artwork covers over here, what are we talking, Si? Normally at
300,
least
500, 800.
Yeah.
More.
I was going to say usually it's 3, so that's a really good deal.
Yeah. So look, my other pitch would be a lot of this for volume 2 is that I got really lucky with volume 1. I have to admit, I got a distribution deal here in Australia, and so like my only claim to fame would be, look, if you buy like one of these original artwork covers, it does get picked up. Like for example, if you look in just in terms of libraries, it's in about 50 Canadian libraries, volume 1. It's in about half a dozen UK libraries. It's in New Zealand. It's in every single library in Singapore. So somebody in Singapore really liked it, and they bought copies for all their libraries.
Oh my gosh.
So volume 1 got really, really lucky. It was like the bottle lightning thing where everything just fell together. So somebody liked it. They helped me push it forward a lot. So it's one of those things that, if volume 2 even achieves half its success, you're going to own something that, the original artwork cover for something that's, in 500 plus public libraries across the world,
That's insanity. Wow. Oh my gosh. It's such interesting and unique kind of pieces too. They're not They're not like just rinky dink, some kind of, whatever. Like they're like these are works of art for sure. I love that one. That's so pretty. My goodness. So everyone needs to go out and obviously back you instantly and watch those those art covers just disappear because that's going to be my new angle in pushing this. That's an insanely affordable tier to own some original artwork, especially something that's that clean. That's crazy. All right, so we do have a question. Skits wants to know, how much promotion did you do, like being on the show before you launched?
Not to look. I'll be honest with you. I'm not very good at marketing. I'll just put it out there. I'm not that big. It's something I need to learn to be better. I freely admit. Like when I self promote, I always feel horrible about it. The whole imposter syndrome, like it's not good enough, and all the rest of it. It's something which I need to get a lot better at, and it's something which, like, it sounds really bad, but like sometimes I'll post up on Facebook, here's a link, and then somebody will put some smart ass comment sometimes going, "Oh, this sucks," or you get the trolls and all the rest of it, and I'm not good at that. I need to be better. It needs to be more like water off the duck's back. But for me, whenever I do that, I say, "Oh, have I annoyed somebody? Did I post in a group which I shouldn't have posted in?" All the rest of it.
Oh, you artists.
I really second guess everything, and look, I'll be free. I have to get better at it. So to answer that question, I need to be better, and not enough. Really, okay. Absolutely, really not enough. That's why I really loved it when Volume 1 got distribution in Australia, and a publisher picked it up, because guess what? It was somebody else's problem. And they did all the hard work. They did all the pitching and selling for me else, and I just turned up, and everybody loved me when I turned up to a library. Because they organized a lot of schools and libraries for me to turn up to. So when I turned up, they organized it. It felt so good. But for me to actually approach different libraries or approach different schools, I think that would be it's still very difficult for me. But when it's all done for you and you just rock up, oh man, it's you're the rock star. You come in, everybody's happy with you. They get out of class. They don't have to do the maths. They get to have some fun.
They already love your book because it's after lunch or something. I don't know. So okay. Oh, you're skipping one. So Wooster wants to know, what's the recommended age range for kids to read this? And I know that you kind of said you're trying to make it accessible for everyone, but
look, it's 10 to 12. That's the age I put forward when when the pitch comes to schools and whatever. But honestly speaking, a lot of I really when I do the writing have the Pixar approach where kids will enjoy it, but I don't talk down to the kids in a lot of these things, and I don't talk down to them in concepts. So look, if an adult was to read this, I still think they'll get as much out of it. So like I said, the only things that are missing is there isn't the violence, there isn't the nudity. But look, to be really fair, a lot of the concepts still run around. Like one of the characters, she's an orphan, and she still has to deal with some of that. So I don't run away with the hard concepts, like there's death, there's rejection, there's still the hard things to talk about. It's just that a lot of the there's no blood, there's graphic stuff, there's no blood, there's no gore, there's nothing that would push me from a PG to an R. But saying that, none of the story was taken away because of that. So
that's fantastic. So Skits has his standard question. Is there anything you would do differently if you were to start your campaign over?
A lot more promotion beforehand.
We hear that a lot.
That's the number one thing.
Look, one thing which I would probably do as well is I probably put a lot more art pages. Like right now, a lot of it is getting lettered. So I'm, as the campaign is progressing, I'm still doing a lot of work in the background. Look, with the first campaign I had, the book was 99% done already. So it could be released really quickly. In this case, I've still probably got a good 6 months to go before it's ready. And it takes for printing, because I usually print, it gets printed overseas. It gets printed in Malaysia, actually. It takes about 2-3 months to turn around from original PDFs to the full print. So this is so it does take a while. So that's why I've estimated about 6 months to finish it off, and then the final 2-3 months to actually get the printing done.
So, just a suggestion. I mean, I know you said that you had stuff that was being lettered,
Yep.
and that's kind of one of your final steps. If you have the art done but it just not lettered at this point, I would stick that on your page, because a lot of people really love seeing the art, especially if it's already inked and colored.
Yes.
A lot of people love seeing it at that step in the process and don't necessarily need the lettering, because all the lettering is going to do is tell people more of your story that you may or may not want them to know at this point. But seeing the art, it's a comic. The art is going to sell it. The story can be interesting, but people can kind of wait for the book to be able to really flesh that out, obviously.
Right.
Oh no, that's a fantastic point. Like, the campaign is still running, so I'm happy. I think I'll definitely take your advice. I'm gonna maybe later on the weekend I'll probably chuck up 3 or 4 more pages on.
I definitely would.
That's really good advice.
Yep, and the other thing is, if you wanted to also add the lettered versions of those pages, I would just replace them with the letter. Like if, say, you had sketches, but it's a really awesome page that you wanted to show, but it's only the pencils at this point. I mean, you could show that, and then once it gets inked, you switch that for the inked version, and then when it gets colored, you switch it for the colored version, and then when it gets lettered, you eventually do that. So not only is it gonna be the most up to date one, but people will have seen it throughout the process without you having to put 4 different versions of the same page on the campaign.
Yeah.
Because we've seen that too, and I don't know about that.
Yeah, I think that
really good.
I think that starts to get confusing when you see the same page over and over again. You see, like, well, this is it when it was pencils, and then it was inked, and then it was colored, and then it was lettered. We're like, we understand the life cycle of a comic. We don't need to see it for every page that you post. So I 100% agree with Sai. But the thing is the art that you have for this book and the style that it is and the theme that kind of goes throughout the book is so good. You're doing yourself a disservice if you don't show more of it. Don't show spoilers. Don't show anything that's going to, potentially ruin the fun. But definitely make sure you get that up there, because it's so pretty to look at and it's so interesting. All right. So Blue Sea Hill said, "Sorry if this has already been answered, but have you done any projects before this?"
Quite a few, actually. So this one is my number 7 or number 8 for me.
Wow.
So the first book I did, it's called Tabby. So the first book I did was actually a dialogue-free book. I mean, that's like 1 or 2 lines of dialogue, but essentially it was a dialogue-free book. It was a Romeo and Juliet with cats. So,
okay.
And more importantly, because cats don't talk, so the entire thing was done without dialogue. So, so it was basically one family of cats. Their fish shop closed, and they moved into this new neighborhood, and 2 little kittens fall in love, and then they. But in terms of the Shakespearean tragedy, don't worry, every cat survives to the end. I didn't kill any of them off. They all lived.
Oh my gosh, that is hilarious. Oh, so I guess my question is, if you've done so many campaigns, how come we haven't seen you everywhere? I know it's your marketing sucks, and this is positive.
Look, I the first few campaigns I usually did was on Kickstarter, actually. So as you probably imagine, Kickstarter has a very different audience to Indiegogo. So I think Rob's the one who actually introduced me to Indiegogo. So Rob
Arnold?
Rob. Yes. So we're different states, but he's Australian, so he's cool.
We've talked to Rob a lot. We've worked with him on promoting Replicator. Yep. So
we're actually trying to help him out a little bit now
relaunched.
too.
I'm going to put my back in for that one as soon as I get a chance to. But yeah, so Rob's the one who actually brought me to Indiegogo. He's saying, hey, look, you've been doing Kickstarter a lot. And the other promotion which I've been doing a lot is it's not, and this is probably why you guys haven't seen too much, hasn't been online a lot. So a lot of the promotions I do is through schools, through libraries, and it's usually within Australian. So and New Zealand to a little bit, but it's around that aspect. So a lot of it is basically to get people to read the stuff. So that's where having a book in the library, getting kids to read it, to borrow it, that's what makes me happy. So this, as you probably can imagine, I think a lot of writers, artists will tell you the same thing. This isn't a money, look, I've got a day job. This isn't a money spinner for me.
Right.
This is really, look, I want people to enjoy these stories. And that's where probably my marketing is really bad, because I'm not doing it right. I know I'm not doing it right, but my direction always has been to the schools and the libraries, because I think that's where I get the most people to read it, and that's where that's important to me. But I'm learning, and I definitely will try to improve it on my online stuff as well.
I totally get what you mean as a writer, that you want to reach the biggest audience possible. I completely understand that. And, you know, this might help you, this might not. I might be talking out of my ass. It doesn't really matter. But how I would look at it, I mean, I imagine that all of your projects are not necessarily aimed at kids, and certainly not exclusively aimed at kids. So as you kind of go through this process, the way I would view it is your Kickstarter, your Indiegogo, of course, it's going to help you pay for the art and things like that. But also think of it as like, you know, this is generating revenue to where you can do more of the things locally, and to help pay for some of the other projects that you have that you want to do. So, I mean, it's being able to do Kickstarter, and we've had plenty of people on the show that have just done Kickstarter instead of Indiegogo as well. So that's an issue for some in independent comics, but it's not for us in terms of having a problem with that. But yeah, just look at you know, being able to monetize things, being able to sell things to a much wider audience. First of all, you're getting your story out there, but second of all, it's really a tool to help push your other projects as well, and to get your name out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and not to mention, if your goal is to try and get this to more into the hands of more kids, I mean, we'll talk more offline, but there might be ways that we can try and help you get to maybe break in a little bit on like the American side, and see if we can't help you, you know, to try and find some connections to maybe get into, you know, schools around here.
Oh, that would be fantastic. Look, we can talk offline, but any help is really, really much appreciated.
Absolutely. So we have one more quick question, and I know that unfortunately you've got to run, and that's totally cool. We understand, and the dog needs to stop doing this. She's killing me. Did you have a mailing list for your campaign at all?
I did. So
you did. How long did you have it for?
So I've got two mailing lists. I've got a Kickstarter mailing list for when I launch Wordsmith on Kickstarter. And I've got the Indiegogo the mailing list. Look, the mailing list for the Indiegogo one is very, very new. So I only picked up the people from my first campaign. So my Indiegogo one only has about, say, 50 people on it. So, yeah, trying to build that one up. But my Kickstarter one's the one which has the bulk of the people.
So I think that the question is kind of geared in terms of how long did you let the pre-launch sit there before you launched your campaign?
Probably about 6-7 weeks.
Okay, that's actually pretty quick, but very cool.
Yeah.
Well, I would love to just pick your brain and talk some more, but I know that you have got to run, so I will just pass it to Cy. Do you have any last minute questions, Cy?
I do not, other than the fact that the concept is really neat. As a writer, I love the concept of words and kind of interweaving that, not only in the fact that you're telling a story, but you're telling a story about the power of words. So I think that's really awesome. Yeah, and I really enjoyed the artwork and everything you've done in this.
Absolutely. Well, and I think that the way that you're kind of going about and introducing this concept to kids, you're probably helping create the next several generations of writers, because you're getting them to think critically about the words that they use and how they can use words to invoke certain meanings, feelings, emotions, and that's exactly what a writer does, which is awesome. So thank you so much, Stephen, for coming on. I know that you had a very short amount of time, but we're so happy that we got you.
Oh no, thank you so much, and look, thank you for accommodating. Unfortunately, like I work shift as well, so my time
totally
is
understand.
Totally messed up. And you guys being, I think 17 hours difference. No, that doesn't help as well.
No, and honestly, we would love to be able to have you on for more shows and things like that in the future, and we'll do what we need to accommodate you. That's not a problem. But thank you so much for being on. So for our audience, thank you so much for coming. You guys had great questions. We really appreciate everything that you do. Make sure that you go and back Wordsmith. Kiba, please stop. I'm sorry, my dog. Make sure you go and back Wordsmith. It's a super amazing concept. It's not just for kids, but it definitely is something that children should be able to pick up and really enjoy. And as always, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. You guys were awesome, and we will talk to you later. So thanks, everyone.
See you next time.
Thank you so much. Bye, guys.
Bye.